Hey guys, it's Friday, and you know what we do on Fridays. It is Let Tiff Teach You. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Happy Friday to you. I'm so excited to be here with you. I missed you guys. It's been a couple of weeks, and I haven't been here. I have missed chatting with you. So I am super excited to be here tonight to talk to you guys about to continue our conversation actually about preparing for food shortages. So I've gotten some questions over the last 2 weeks and some comments and some requests for more information. So today what we're doing is a part two, and I'm going to um, drill down a little bit into some of the details of how you prepare, how to prepare, what to prepare, and those kind of things. Because that's the information or the questions I should say that I've been getting from my followers and my audience. So I want to make sure that I'm giving you guys the information that you need, but also the information that you want in a way that is tangible, it is practical, it is giving you step by steps on how to uh, best ensure that you and yours are fully prepared or as prepared as you can be for these food shortages that are going to be coming. So, we are going to get into that. Thank you so much for being here tonight. If you are watching on Facebook, if you are watching on YouTube, I appreciate you. I'm grateful for your presence. You could be doing anything else on a Friday, but you are here with me, and I am grateful. If you are on Facebook, hit that like, share this with somebody. If you're on YouTube, you can hit that like too, and share and subscribe right now to Let Tiff Teach You. We are here every single Friday night at 8. So let's jump into it. So let's do a little recap, right? So 2 weeks ago, we talked about preparing for famine and preparing for food shortages. And we walked through some of the details about um, the hows and whys of what is currently happening and what is going to how this is going to play out in the future, right? So we talked about the weather being a major um, player in this food crisis that we are finding ourselves in, right? So we've got drought in Western North America, we have a drought in Mid Central United States, we have flooding in Europe, as well as drought in other parts of Europe. We have major extreme weather events happening what seemed like back to back some of the time, right? Like there's this, I've heard a lot lately in the news, in the mainstream news, talking about like, it's a 1 in 100 year flood, it's a 1 in 500 year weather event, but they happen in every 10 years. So I don't know where they getting these hundred years from. I do. I'm joking. Previously these were the kinds of events that you would only see once every 100 years, once every 500 years. But due to the boom in population and a lot of other things that have happened in the planet, things are changing and we're living in that change. So, like I say all the time, no matter what you think about climate change, we can all agree that the climate has changed, right? And so we have to deal with what we have currently. We can't stand around and argue about how we got here because we're here and now we have to deal with here. So, due to all these weather events, um, there's not as much water available in a lot of places in the United States and around the world. Well, you can't grow anything without water. So if there's no water or very limited amounts of water, then that is going to affect how much food is grown, right? So that's an impact. In addition, there's a war happening, and so import and export of fertilizer has been difficult at times, and what is available has become more pricey. So that means that fertilizer is not as readily available to put on the crops, the food that's growing. How does that affect? That means that we're going to get less because we're not fertilizing it, and that impacts the yield or how much production happens. So there's not a lot of water, there's less fertilizer, which means that when farmers plant their crops, they're not going to get as a big a harvest as they did previously due to these impacts. So that's happening. Now, here in the United States, what you need to know is that the majority of the corn, wheat, and soybeans grown here are not for you. They are grown to feed animals. So if there's not as much growing, then they can't feed the animals. So then there aren't as many animals that go to auction and market and to slaughterhouses to end up in your grocery store. All of so it's just a real short little recap. You got to go back and watch the first video if you want the whole breakdown. We talked through it from through the Christian prophetic lens, and then I'm also giving you the economics of what's happening. Here is what's happening. You don't have to like it. You don't even have to necessarily be seeing it where you are, but you need to be aware of what is going on around the world and understand how those global impacts are going to impact you on your couch and at your grocery store, because they are. If it is happening somewhere in the world, at some point, it's going to happen to you. So you need to know what's happening over there so you can get prepared. All right. So that's our recap, right? We talked about what is happening, why it's happening. And I got into a little bit of what you can do, right? Some quick tips, some things that you could do to ensure that you and your family are well. And I got a lot of questions. After the fact, I got people saying, asking, well, what do I do and what do I buy and where can I buy it and how do you know when the timing is? And I don't, I actually got several comments from people who are like, I live in an apartment, I don't have a lot of storage space, I don't know what I can do. So I said, okay, all right, we're going to come back and we're going to dig a little bit because I do want to address all of these because they are legitimate concerns. We're talking about food shortage. We're talking about, because when we're talking about food shortages, we're also talking about inflation. We have to talk about how that's going to affect you going forward. So I want to make sure that I'm giving you tangible, practical tools that you can use day to day to support yourself and your household going forward. So let's jump into it. The what and the why and the what and the how of preparing for famine. Welcome to tonight's episode. All right. So what what to buy? Let's start there. What to buy and where to buy it. I guess is we could throw that in there as well. So number one, buy what you eat. You will see commercials on TV, on YouTube for like emergency food and these emergency food packets that last for 25 years and all that. And if you're into it, if you feel like that's the route you need to go, feel free. But for many people right now, that's not financially sound. That's not something that they can do. Plus, you've never tried these foods. You don't know if you're going to like them. You don't know how your body's going to react to them. So, my suggestion to you is simply buy what you eat, right? You're going to buy the food that you buy already. You're just going to buy them in quantities and in um, packaging that will last a little while longer. Okay. So, you're gonna just if you like green beans, then buy an extra can of green beans. I eat a lot of rice, so I buy an extra bag of rice. um, so there are some categories of foods that you want to make sure that you buy, but you want to just continue to buy what's in your normal diet, that you like, that you will eat. You just want to buy a little extra. All right. And we're going to talk about a couple strategies on that are the buying extra. All right. So you're just going to continue to buy the food that you eat. So I also got well, why do I need to do this now? Because tomorrow's prices ain't today's prices, because inflation is still something here in America, and around the world. Actually, it's not just America. America is not the only country experiencing high inflation right now. This is a global problem. So it's not just us. Everybody's feeling this pinch. And so it's not going to just plummet and prices go back to normal, right? So we are planning in advance because we have advance warning. One, because what it is today, it might be $1 more next week. And so if we buy it today, we're actually saving money, we're stretching our dollars. So that's part of the reason, right? But also because it won't be, if availability is going to be scarce in some places. And so when you see it, you got to get it if you want to make sure that you have it later. Okay. So what to buy, what you eat, first off. Secondly, shelf stable foods. I'm gonna say it again because I kind of flubbed it. Shelf stable foods. So what is that? That is rice, um, beans, dry beans or canned beans, canned meats. So like tuna, salmon, beef, or chicken. Um, Maybe soups is if that's something that canned soup is something that you eat regularly. Canned fruit, canned vegetables, oatmeal, grits, things that pantry food, right? So the kinds of foods that you can put in the pantry and they'll be fine for 3 to 6 months, a year, maybe two, depending. Um, so you want to make sure that those are the kinds of foods that you are looking at wanting to add to your pantry to build it in advance. All right. So what now? Well, you want to make sure that you have proteins, right? So you got your proteins, you got your canned meats, you might have peanut butter, almond butter at my house. Um, but if you're vegan or vegetarian, you're going to want to make sure that you have beans that are high in protein in your pantry. In addition to that, you want to make sure that you have your whatever grains you and your family um, utilize regularly. So that might be rice, that might be oats, that might be wheat. If you're in a pasta, you know, extra boxes or bags of pasta may be something that you want to just grab a little bit more of, right? So these are the kind of things that you're gonna include in your pantry stock up. Okay. Now, where so then the next this actually might have been the number one question I got was where do I put it? So let's talk about some places where you can keep your food storage. And so this is more targeted toward people who may not have a basement, may live in an apartment, don't have a lot of storage in their kitchen, things of that nature. You have to be imaginative when you're considering building a food pantry in a small space. What do I mean? Um, could you clean out the bottom of a closet and maybe put something there? Could you put something underneath your bed? What's happening under there? Do you have in my living room? My couch sits cat a corner on the wall, and that triangle behind my couch, there's nothing there. Nobody sees it. I could effectively stockpile food there. Um, so you have to think about spaces that are underutilized or unutilized in your home that are going to remain the temperature is going to remain steady and they're going to be dry because that's another thing. You want to make sure that wherever you are storing things, that it is cool and or moderately temperature and dry. Those are important. Okay. So those are the kind of spaces that you want to look around. Could you put this box someplace else and use this piece of this closet? Is there a shelf somewhere that you're not utilizing? Could you clean out your cabinets? Honestly, come on, y'all. Could you clean out your cabinets and maybe make some extra space for extra food? Okay. These are the kind of places and spaces that you want to utilize in your house. Under your kids' beds, they don't need none of the stuff that's underneath there. Get rid of that, and put a case of green beans underneath the bed, a case of corn, a couple things of oatmeal, um, a case of peaches underneath their bed. And if you have multiple beds in your home, you've got multiple storage areas. Those are the kind of places that you want to consider um, building your pantry. If you're in an apartment, here's another idea. If you get one of those Sterilite totes, you can build a food pantry in the tote and then just stow the tote. Simple as that. So that's just another way, another idea of how to start building your pantry. If you are blessed to have a house that has a pantry, um, what's in there? What's in there that matters? Is your pantry full of junk food? Is it full of snacks? Or do you have enough food in your home to ensure that your family is not going to be hungry for 6 months if you went to the store and they just didn't have the kinds of things that you needed, right? So that's what we're thinking about. We are thinking about how do I ensure that I have enough food in my home and building up to that I'm building to 6 months. So, we started 3 days, right? We go from 3 days to 3 weeks. We go from 3 weeks to 3 months, and then we're off and running. We're off into the races. Um, and you can build as much as you like depending on what your storage situation is. Now I want to double back again here because I think that it's important to talk about ensuring that you're buying food that you eat. Because here's the thing: the food is not going to sit there. You're not going to buy the food and throw it underneath the bed or throw it in the bottom of the closet and forget about it for 5 years. The purpose of building a pantry is that you're rotating your way through the food. That's why it's important to buy foods that you eat. Okay, so like um, well, no, I'm not going to say that. You are going to work your way through the food to make sure that the food that you have on hand is fresh, right? So, but first we need to build and then we can start to rotate. So it's important to know that what you're buying are things that you and your family are going to eat. This is really important. So we've got we've talked about why we're buying it, because food shortages are coming due to instability around the world, instability in our weather, and instability in the economy, and because God said it's coming. We've talked about what kinds of things that you should store, right? So, canned goods, shelf stable pantry foods, canned goods, rice, oats, uh, pancake mix is another good one, canned fruits, canned vegetables, things of that nature. Um, that's where I want you to start. I could literally break this down by every category of food in your home, but I want you to start with your proteins, high calorie carbs, and canned fruits and vegetables. Start there. So, how do we do that from a financial standpoint? What can you do? So there's a couple different ways that you can tackle this beast. Um, if you have, I mean, because I'm not checking your pockets. But not a lot of people have $1,000 to just go drop on building a 3 month food pantry, right? That's not realistic for most people today. But you can take $5 a week, $5 every time you go to the grocery store. You can you can handle this a couple different ways. So if you choose to set aside a specific amount of money every week, and those dollars, when you go to the grocery store, that's to build your pantry. That's one way. So let's say you decided you're going to do $5 a week. So you put the $5 in the food pantry, build the food pantry fund, and then whenever you go to the grocery store, you take that money, and that money is specifically to purchase items that are going to be stored away. They're not going into your I'm eating this right now kitchen space. They're going in the storage space wherever you've chosen to build that. And so you can go to Aldi right now and buy 12 cans of green beans for like $5.67. You know, so maybe get three green beans, three corn, three peas, and three tomato sauce. There you go. You got 12 cans of food that you can do, and these are foods that you can do things with. These are foods that you know how to function with, right? And that was your $5 for the week. Done. Next week you go to Aldi, you take your $5, you buy a bag of rice. Because well, my rice, the the rice I eat is $5.45 for a 5 pound bag at Aldi. Now I'm a single person. 5 pound of rice lasts me a long time. So that's not I buy one, I don't have to worry about buying another one probably for 6 months. But if you have a family, that may not last you quite as long, and that's understandable. So, but next week, my $5 went to getting a bag of rice. The next week, my $5 went to buying a tall container of oatmeal, a box of pancake mix, and a bottle of syrup. Now we've got breakfast. You see what I'm saying? So, like, you're just taking your whatever you budgeted and pinning it to a category and then adding something from that category of food. Okay, so that's one way. Is just setting a dollar amount, setting those dollars to the side, and when you go to the grocery store, you do it. Okay. Another way that you can do this is focusing solely on a particular category of food and fully funding that. So if you like, I'm okay, I got $100 and I really want to get a good jump start and I want to go in with my $100, right? Okay, great. How do you do that? You start in the categories: protein, carbs, vegetables. Okay. You want to say how this for this $100, my goal is to build 30 days worth of food And so, what does that mean for my household? Do you eat canned salmon? Do you eat canned tuna? Um, Buying those things. How many cans of again green beans, corn, peas, carrots, tomato sauce, pasta sauce, boxes of pasta. Um, if you're going to go in with a larger specified amount, I highly suggest that you sit down and do some meal planning. Because you don't want to buy just a bunch of random items. You want to make sure that the things that you're buying match for your family. So if I'm gonna go and I've got that $100 and it's like, okay, so I'm gonna get 6 boxes of pasta. You need to make sure you buy pasta sauce, right? Um, and then maybe I need to make sure that I buy, if you like mushrooms, cans of mushrooms, diced tomatoes. I'm gonna make a chili, so I need to buy beans, maybe rice if that's what you do. A couple boxes of cornbread because we make cornbread when we make chili. So you want to consider meal planning and then buying the preps necessary for those meals. Okay, so that's another way that you could do that. Third way, if you are blessed and you can afford to uh, spend a significant amount of money on building a pantry, go forth. Uh, you're going to utilize all of the suggestions that I've made previously: meal planning, building by food category, protein, carbs, fruits, vegetables. We're starting now. Food is not the only thing you need to have in your pantry, but we're starting with food because you can't do anything without food. You got to start with food. So we've got to make sure that our food and our water is prepped appropriately. So the other way that you can do this is something that I utilize regularly, is I'm constantly adding to my preps in small amounts every week. But if I catch a sale on an item that I know is going to matter in my pantry. So let me give you an example. I am lactose intolerant, so my cooking milk is often coconut milk. And so coconut milk comes in a can, and it's now probably $2, $2.29, depending on where I'm going, a can, which just that's a whole other conversation for another day. But if I can catch coconut milk for $1.79 a can or $1.69 a can because it's on sale, forget what I was doing, forget what my plan was. I'm going to go in and buy a larger amount of that particular food because it's on sale. And I don't know when it's going to go on sale again. If I've got 10 extra dollars or 20 extra dollars, that it's like, yeah, I probably was going to spend this to go out to lunch next week, but I'll be all right if I don't go to Chipotle. I'll be all right if I don't go to Five Guys. I'll live. I can pack. Um, and I'll use that money to catch a sale. That is a strategy that I use regularly, and it works really well for me. Um, and that way, if it doesn't go on sale again, it doesn't matter. And if the store is out, it also doesn't matter because I bought 10 cans of coconut milk when it was on sale, and that'll last me 3-4 months. By the time I need it again, it's probably gonna be on sale again. And so that is one of the ways that I have utilized. That's one of the things I've utilized to build my personal pantry. So I think we covered everything today, y'all. We got where you're going to keep your preps, where you're going to build your food storage. We've talked about the things that you need to have in your food storage, specifically the types of foods, categories of foods that you need to have in your food storage, different ways from a financial aspect that you can start your food storage pantry. So I hope that you have found these helpful. If you still got questions, please leave them in the comments. Y'all, like, I want to make sure that I am releasing content that you find engaging and helpful. It's practical. You like, oh yeah, that's easy. I can go do that tomorrow. Dope. That's what I want. So if you've got questions, if you've got comments, if you're still confused about stuff that I'm talking about, please, please, please leave me a comment. Let me know. You never know. You might be the topic of our next video. I want to make sure that I'm preparing my community for what the Lord has revealed to me and what I see happening right now in the economy coming full circle and about to really, really hit us in the face, y'all, in a really big way. Honestly, a lot has happened in the last 2 weeks. Um, around the world and even here in the States that's going to significantly impact our food supply. And the Lord is so gracious and so kind. And He has given us the warning. And the warning is the provision. Do you believe that God will provide for you? He has provided when He told you to get ready. Now it's your turn to do the thing and to move on the word that He has given you. That's it. That's all I got for you today. I love you. I pray that I pray that this blesses you. I pray that you are receiving from the Lord what He desires to deliver to His people. Again, if you got questions, drop them in the comments. Like, share, subscribe. Invite somebody to Friday night, y'all, because we are over here learning. We are receiving the word of the Lord, and we are understanding how to apply that in our lives in a tangible and practical way. I love you. I'll see you next Friday.